So we're at Superbooth 2017 with Rossum Electro-Music. We're getting some sound out of the Assimil8or.
That's right. It's a prototype, but it's making sound, and we're very pleased with what it sounds like.
Well, I was excited just to see the panel last year.
Yeah.
Never mind sound.
It was last year, but here we've really got the module in prototype form. It's got all the first version of the final hardware. We'll go through another PC board rev, but it's quite a ways along. There's a lot of development that just doesn't show up at all, but we've gotten to the point where we're making sound, and that's when it really gets to be fun.
Yeah. So let's check it out.
Okay. So the Assimil8or is a sampler, so we'll just begin by going through an inventory of samples that we've got here. I've got a trumpet, and there it just played through the whole trumpet sample. I've got a piano. I've got a violin sample down here. We've got some drums, some voice.
Despite our best efforts.
And a handful of noise sample and synth samples. So that's our palette of sounds that we'll be able to play with. The final module will be polyphonic. You'll be able to play 8 sounds at once. This prototype only plays 1 sound at once right now.
Okay.
And the screen will be our nice pretty screens. This is very much an engineering screen for me to just test what sounds it's doing and control them for the demo. So don't worry about it. You won't need your glasses to read the final. As I said, it's ultimately a sampler, so we heard the trumpet playing back. In addition to being a one-shot sound, we can make that instead a gated sound where, as I release the button, the sound disappears. The way the Assimil8or works, all the sounds are controlled by a variety of parameters, and virtually every one of those parameters will be voltage controllable in one or more ways. So this decay time that we've got when we're in gated mode can be programmed from something that's really very short to something that's quite long. And if you want, you'll be able to change that with one of the control voltage parameters. You've got 3 control voltages coming into the module for each one of the sounds that you can play, and those 3 control voltages, each one can be routed independently with an attenuverter into any of the parameters.
So you can really easily scale start time, pitch.
Right, exactly, and have one control voltage have a certain effect on the bit depth and another effect on the modulation index and things like this. So you really get a lot of control. You'll be able to save that whole setup as a preset as well. Some of the things you'll be able to control in addition to decay time, for example, is the panning of the outputs. We have the 8 individual outputs. Each of those outputs is monophonic, but the module is a stereo module. You can sample in stereo, and you'll get a stereo output. If you sample in stereo, you'll want to use 2 of the playback channels for the left and right sides of the sound, and then pan those to left and right if you want to preserve the stereo image. If you have a monophonic sample, then you can just choose where it is in the stereo field with a pan control. For example, our monophonic drums here, we can put in and pan from all the way to the right, all the way to the left, or we can use this LFO over here and have it be sweeping back and forth under a voltage controlled manner.
How does it handle, or will it, when it's finished, sort of right up to audio rate on those CV-ins?
Yeah, all the CVs are sampled at the full audio rate, so you'll be able to do audio rate modulation. If you want to do external phase modulation with an audio signal, it'll also come in through one of these CV inputs and things like that. So yeah, everything's DC to full bandwidth on everything. So the other thing we've got in the sample, in addition to being able to gate the sample, we also can loop the sample. So again, getting back to our friend the trumpet here. Now as I hold down the gate, it doesn't run to the end of the sound until I release it, then it'll escape the loop and go to the end. You also can program another loop mode where it will continue to loop even after you release the gate, so you can have a very, very long tail on the sound if you want. And that loop parameters, matter of fact, all the parameters of the sound that are in memory, the start point, the end point, the loop start, and the loop length also will be voltage controllable. I have that hooked up to the violin sound here, so if we just listen to the violin one shot, it plays through straightforwardly. But if I hold it down, it'll go into a loop, and I'm modulating that loop length with our triangle wave over here, moving back and forth. And as we modulate that loop length, what will happen, you'll hear the pitch of the violin, because that's in the sample, but you'll also hear an additional pitch that is formulated by the loop length. And it's sort of like a phase sync oscillator. You hear both pitches together. So let's try that. Now, the other thing we've got in here is a bit crusher. The bit crusher, it's a continuous parameter, so it isn't just stuck at 6, 7, or 8 bits. Instead, we can get halfway or a quarter way in between, which makes it, again, very nice for voltage control.
Yeah, nice under modulation when it's smooth.
Right. So I'm going to play our voice sample over here.
Despite our best efforts,
And
shortages of
control the
marijuana
bit
are now
depth
being
here.
reported. The U.S. military has more than tripled the use of drugs among its personnel since 1980. Our goal is to expand drug trafficking at all levels of government and in the private sector. Help us.
You've also got control of level, and we can do amplitude modulation. I won't demonstrate that. But the most fun things are having to do with the playing with the pitch. Of course, if you've just got a sound like the piano, we can adjust the pitch of that. Now, in the mock-up here, it's limited, but the final pitch shifter is really an exceptional piece of DSP, and it'll be able to pitch shift all the way up to 5 octaves upward and 15 octaves downward. So you'll be able to play around a lot with really interesting effects on the pitch, including taking sounds and bringing them down into control voltage frequencies and so on.
You could, of course, take it really down, get that really grungy, several octaves shifted down, patch it back into another channel. I mean, having 8 channels, you can patch it stereo back in to sample itself.
Right, exactly. So there's a whole lot of stuff you can do like that. We've got, in addition to just the basic pitch shift, you can do exponential FM, and I've got that patched through with our triangle wave over there. We also can do linear FM. I've got a low frequency oscillator over here.
And push the rate of that LFO up really high and check that out.
That was just where I was going next.
So even this early on, the FM sounds great.
Well, the FM is nothing compared to the next step. The next step is the phase modulation. And begin with that, we're going to use a piano as a modulator. So we're going to modulate our trumpet sound with our piano sound. So there's the trumpet without any modulation. Let me come down so I can modulate the modulation index. As we add some phase modulation, you can begin to hear that attack of the trumpet being modulated by the piano.
Getting into sort of DX or CZ FM phase modulation kind of sounds.
Right, exactly. Now it starts getting really fun if I save that modulation index, and now I go up and play with the pitch of the trumpet.
Now it's neat for a trumpet or a piano.
Right. And now if I take the trumpet down there and go and save that, and now come and modulate the pitch of the piano,
Almost sounds modal, sort of physical modeling. Being phase rather than exponential FM, the bass pitch of that trumpet is solid.
Right, exactly. So this is actually, today is the first day that I've even gotten to hear this phase modulation with the varying frequencies, and we're really excited with the results about that. I think there's just a lot of possibilities as we get to play with this more and more.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant. Well, thanks for the early preview. It's sounding great.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm having a great time playing with this thing too.
Yeah, great. Thank you.